Welcome to the Powercat Podcast, the original K-State sports show. Now let's go to the rolling Flint Hills, home of the Cats and Dogs studio. Here's your host, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of the Powercat Podcast, sponsored by our friends at Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Fitz, along with Ryan Gilbert and the one and only Big B, Brian Hanley, as we take you on another turn through K-State athletics with the podcast that began so long ago. I don't even remember when we started. I literally have no clue. It's been a long time. Before podcasts were really that big a deal. And we're having a lot of fun right now here in the Go Powercat studios, as Brian Hanley is down in Studio 73 in Frisco, because with our Big 12 Insiders channel, we're giving time to all the publishers and all of our contacts at the different schools to do fall camp reports. Big B, it's kind of a big task for us to get the 16 interviews in, but it's also pretty cool. Tell folks a little bit about it.
Well, basically, like you said, we're just interviewing the publishers or the beat writers for all 16 schools, K-State included. So we're just going down, not doing a whole big show like we usually do, a big production, but it's 15, 20 minutes just talking about what's going on during fall camp, just kind of getting back into the groove of football, getting everybody updated on what's going on, how fall camp looks, how things, maybe the projection, the overviews of each individual school. So it's been fun. It's work, but work is not a bad thing for us, Fitz. Work is okay. That we're busy. Busy is okay. It's better than what we've been dealing with the last 6 to 7 weeks of the summer of nothing. Now that's been tough. This is fun.
that realignment news came at a perfect time because we were running out of crap.
True.
It was
Lord have mercy.
It gave us a little power boost through the rest of the summer. Ryan Gilbert, how are you doing? If folks don't know, Thursday is your first day full time with us. Congratulations, because this airs on Thursday. What are you doing today?
Well, today's Wednesday, right, as we're recording.
Right,
so
but I mean today on Thursday.
Later tonight, I'll be going into Takalucha for my last ever shift. It's going to be bittersweet, but I'm I'm pumped for this full-time gig, but I'll certainly miss the good people in Aggieville.
Okay, I need you to answer. What are you doing on Thursday, your first day of working for us?
Oh, I don't know. No, I think we're going to have a couple pieces, right? We'll look at ESPN's FPI ranking each of K-State's opponents for the upcoming season. There's a few in there that I think fans aren't maybe going to be too happy with, so that's fun. But we'll look at, some guys in the NFL as well for K-State. So I'm excited to provide a bunch, consistent, content for you.
Right, exactly. And then you're taking the day off. You're avoiding that, right?
My friend decided to get married on my, basically the second day of being full time. So,
folks, you might not think that's a fall wedding, but when you work in sports, that's a fall wedding. Just stop this. Okay. Make it stop.
Please. I get what you were trying to do here, Fitz. You were trying to get me to talk about that, not the actual content. I was like, why does he care that much about what I'm doing? Okay.
Nope. I'm trying to make you confess that on your first day of official work, you're taking it off for a wedding.
Second day. Well, first and second days, I guess.
Okay. Whatever. Whatever.
But I'm still doing work before leading up to it, and I'm going to get you content that's going to be ready to go, Fitz.
God knows we need it. God knows we need it. But it's starting to hum along, pick up. The press conferences 2 times a week have been overwhelming in the sense of the amount of video content we're putting up from these interviews. But it sure is fun to have camp open and news breaking and things going on. And I'm sure we got a lot of great questions from Wabash Station. But again, your reminder, we're sponsored by the Fridge. They've been with us a long time. I hear rumor that you guys aren't going into the Fridge enough. You need to go to the Fridge and tell them you heard about it on the Powercat podcast. Go Powercat, and please high five someone, preferably just a random person that has no idea what's going on. Here's a question from Wabash Station. Ryan, the Reader Gilbert, takes it away.
First questions from O2 Cat. What will be the first big play of the year, and by whom?
Man, these questions. Let me put on my magic prognosticator hat, and I'm going to say they will score a touchdown off of DJ Giddens' run. Nothing flashy, just right up the middle into the end zone.
Yeah, I like that. I was going to say that, so I'll say something different. But it also, I guess, it defines big play. I mean, first game of the year, are we counting those as big plays? I guess technically we are. And if we are, give me a screen to Dylan Edwards. It's either going to be a screen. Yeah, give me a screen to Dylan Edwards. Just a little screen, just to get opponents worried. Just a little screen play, get the lineman out in front, and to Dylan Edwards, and he takes it to the house.
Gills?
Nobody mentions Avery Johnson.
We left it wide open. What's funny is Big B's answers were exactly mine. Those were my two choices.
It's going to be it's a pass play, right? And things aren't going to work out. It's going to be maybe not a broken play, but Avery's going to go out and scramble, and he's going to get loose and get in the secondary and run one for a long touchdown. That's what's going to happen.
I love it. All three very viable options, and Big B, that's kind of what makes this offense going to be fun. I mean, you've got options. I mean, we didn't mention Jace Brown, we didn't mention Keegan Johnson or Garrett Oakley or any of the other weapons they have on this offensive side of the ball, but those are three pretty prominent weapons.
I mean, having options is always a good sign of a good offense. I didn't like Ryan's assessment of, it's not going to work out. That means the offensive line's not blocking. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Having said that, I mean, look, anytime you have an Avery Johnson back there that can make things happen, if a play happens to break down, you're winning. I mean, you just are. And the more he gets comfortable at finding receivers, using the scramble drill to find receivers, because I think that's kind of the key to him staying healthy, Fitz and Gills. Not necessarily him running for 75 yards. There'll be some of that, but I think it's keeping plays alive with his legs and being able to get the ball down the field. That was a thing that, and I'm not trying to compare him to Michael Bishop, but that was the thing that Bishop did very well, was kept plays alive. Now, when you talk about running, he was a downhill runner. Michael Bishop wasn't elusive and evading people and all of that stuff. He was running through, not necessarily through, but just running downhill as a running back. Avery Johnson's got the elusibility, or the ability to be elusive. That's a better word.
That's a great new word.
He's got the ability to do some of that stuff, and I think it's going to be key to the season. And again, a key to keeping him healthy, because the least amount of hits that he can take, the better.
You know what? And Gills, have you noticed that they're actually working on those things in the brief sessions we get to see as members of the media? And God knows they don't show us much, but we did see a lot of work on screenplays, a lot. And we've even seen rollout drills where there's too much coverage and you got to roll out and the receivers drag across the field to follow, which I haven't always seen. And I think that must be a Matt Wells thing to work on that, because I've always thought K-State's receivers didn't do a good job as a totality of coming back to their quarterback when he's in trouble these last few years. And that's just going to be a reality now. You're going to get covered sometimes, and you don't want Avery's only option to be tuck it and run. You want receivers to still make plays. So they've been working on these exact things.
Yeah. You can never give up on a play, right? And that's the biggest thing about scrambling. And if nobody's open, it's not going to work out. But I remember talking with Kellis Robinette at that open practice. Like, I don't think he had ever seen that. Certainly, I've never seen that from a K-State practice. So that stuff, that's probably a Matt Wells thing, but it's good to see.
Exactly.
Next question's from Ohio Powercat. With a new offensive coordinator, quarterback, and other new starters, what is more likely to happen in our first game? We blow out UT Martin 53-0, or we struggle early and win the game closer than it should be?
I don't see this offense struggling early, because at the end of the day, Avery can put it under his arm and run. I mean, Will could run, Skylar could run, but as Big B just said, that he's a different cat. Avery can make people miss. He's literally a running back. Michael Bishop might have been like a fullback, kind of like Colin Klein carrying the ball that came at you. Big, strong kids. Avery's a little bit different. He's going to make you miss. And I don't think this offense will struggle, because if you got a quarterback that can say, well, no one's open, the blocking's breaking down, I'll just run for 50 yards. You're at a huge advantage. And I think that's where UT Martin's going to really struggle with this offense, trying to contain all of those things. Even when they do things right, it can go very wrong.
Yeah, I don't see it struggling. I mean, we talked about it, just so many options that you have with so many weapons. But I will say, I mean, if we do struggle in the game, it is kind of what, one of the options of the question were. Again, and you guys know me, I'm always going to come back to the offensive line. That means the offensive line hasn't been good.
Right.
But I don't suspect that being the case. I think the offensive line, again, it'll surprise me if the K-State's offensive line isn't really good again. I'm not saying they got a Cooper Beebe out there, because they don't. But you know what? Nobody else does either. So there's that. But to have said that, I just don't think they're going to struggle. I don't think that the offense that's going to be the problem. I'm not saying that we're going to score 75 points a game or anything. But it's kind of a veteran-laden group, or guys that have played, guys that have experience. A lot of times when you're talking about people struggling with the new offense, it's because guys haven't played, and, they're coming in and they haven't done a whole lot. Well, we've got guys that have done that, whether it's here or somewhere else. We've got guys that have actually been on the field. So I don't see it struggling.
Sorry, I blinked out for a second. I think this is, with all due respect here to UT Martin, it's kind of like the JV squad going up against varsity, right? So K-State can play sloppy. Maybe the game plan, if something doesn't work out or there's still kinks that have to be worked out, it's not going to matter, just because K-State's players, the physicality, athleticism, speed, strength, all that stuff, K-State's just naturally going to be much better in all those categories. And again, that's not a knock on UT Martin, but it's just such a better team that all these new players, the new pieces, all the new stuff they're trying to implement, I just don't think it's going to matter. And that's why it's awesome to play a game like this in game number 1 with those new players, new coaches, to get that stuff out of the way, so that by the time you go to Tulane, for the second week, you got those things worked out and you're ready to go.
Yeah, Big B, usually in start of a season, you have a game like this that quite often you should win easily. It hasn't always worked out that way. And then followed by another game from a non-Power 5 school that feels kind of like just another step up, but not nearly Big 12 play.
Yep.
That's not true this season. They play UT Martin, which is a good FCS program. And then they go to Tulane, and we know what happened last time Tulane played K-State, and that was in Manhattan. I feel like they can't hold a lot back in the opener. They need to be ready and clicking by the time they go to Tulane. And if they hold a bunch of stuff back and then try to get fancy against Tulane, I'd worry about that more than what they do against UT Martin.
Well, look, here's the thing. UT Martin is a good FCS school, but K-State is better than them. Right. So if they should be able to just line up. I'm not saying that you can just run, off tackle, right, left, student body, right, left, and those are the only plays that you run. But they shouldn't have to empty out the playbook or even show a lot of it, even a little bit of it, to be able to go win this game handily. So, holding stuff back is fine if you've got the guys that can go out there and just mow down people. And I think K-State has that. They should be able to just line up and run 7-8 plays and go win the football game. They should just be able to do that. Now, we'll see. And I mean 7-8 on offense, 7-8 defense, because there's a lot of different defenses. You can't just be vanilla on defense and go win football games. That's not how it works anymore. People pass the ball too much motion, all that kind of stuff. So you got to still do that. But they don't have to show a ton to be able to go win the game handily and to get a lot of guys out there on the football field.
Agreed. 100%.
From Pickles, Coach Tui said that Damian Elalio is the starter. Your thoughts? That seems bad to me.
Well, I got to say, too, he prefaced that with the progress Damian Elalio has made, that he's really come on strong and is playing at a high level. I guess to go with that, to make him the starter, is Uso must be plateaued. We might have reached his ceiling earlier than we thought. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, if it's the same Damian as it was last year, he's a great backup, but not a starter. But I think they're saying he's past Uso. He's better than what Uso was last year. That would make sense to me as why he might say that. And also, I think there was an element of trying to light a fire under Uso. He's not always the self-motivator. Sometimes you got to challenge him, and this seems like a challenge from the coaching staff. Look, kid, you came back for the bonus year. You're back to play another year, but you're going to lose your time if you don't kick it in gear. And I heard a lot of Bill Snyder in that comment. He'd send all kinds of messages during press conferences that didn't pan out on game day, but I'll be surprised if Alalio actually starts the game against UT Martin, or maybe he does, I guess, and then, as a further step in trying to motivate Uso. But I think Uso is going to be the guy in the middle as the season progresses.
I think he's going to as well. But I think you hit it on the head with the last thing that you said, Fitz. I don't think he's going to start the game. And that is that's the motivation that he's going to need. Because look, there's nothing worse than if you know you're better than somebody or you're as good as somebody, and because you haven't put it all together and you haven't worked as hard in practice or whatever, you're just kind of going through the motions, and the coaches are saying, you know what, we can play this guy. If all we're going to get is you going through the motions, well, he's just as good as you, so we might as well play him. That's the fire that needs to be lit. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start the game. I just really wouldn't. And again, as a kid in college that happened to, I can speak to it from experience. My senior year, I was a starter the whole year before, went through the motions in camp. Somebody started our first game over me. I'm like, hold on a second. What is going on? Well, and that was basically it. That's all I needed because I didn't want to be embarrassed. And that's basically what that can happen. And who knows? Maybe this is the same type of thing. I know it can be good for K-State if that's the fire that needs to be lit.
I understand the question, right? Like, who knows what was really was he trying to motivate Uso? Was Tui just being genuine? But bottom line is Tui praised Damian Alalio a lot. I mean, he had great things to say, like you said, called him the starter. And so I still think that that's not a bad thing. I get it if you're concerned with, what we've seen on the field from Damian Alalio, and if that's going to be the starter. I understand maybe the concern there, but, Tui had great things to say. And one other thing to keep in mind, Fitz, you kind of touched on that in the beginning of your answer. Like, when you're recruiting guys or bringing them into your program, which ones are going to maybe be the quote unquote projects, or the guys that may take some more time to develop, get them into your program, get them in the weight room, all that stuff. And that's probably your Damian Alalio, right? That's not a knock on Alalio, but Uso was obviously brought in from a JUCO, right, to be more of an instant impact guy as an older player. And so maybe Uso's just kind of, you use the word plateaued, Fitz, maybe hit his ceiling. I hope that that's not the case, but maybe that's what's happening here, is that Damian is finally, clicking, right? It's finally all coming together for him. When they recruited him, they saw the potential there, and now it's coming together. That could be the case. It could not be, but that's something to keep in mind for sure.
Well, fans remember that in 2022, with the game on the line for a Big 12 championship, they put Damian Alalio in, and what he did on that play led to the championship as much as any other play. So this kid can make plays, and if he ends up being the starter, we'll see how he holds up, because that's a big step up to be getting, probably, 60 to 70% of the snaps, as opposed to, 20 to 30%, and another guy getting some snaps. You're going to be called on a lot. You're going to play tired, and you got to keep going.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just, there is a difference, but I still believe that it can work out in K-State's favor, because it should be a motivating factor, and it should push each guy to want to be out there more. I mean, it's never going to be 50-50 as far as the snap count goes. That's not how this works. So somebody's going to get the majority of the snaps. They're going to make them fight for it. That's good for K-State.
Iron sharpens iron, right?
Yes, sir.
There you go. Last question of the first half from B.A. Wildcat. After listening to the defensive players talk, they bring up that they have been getting a lot of interceptions and fumbles in practice, and they are going to get more this year in games. Are they getting those interceptions from Avery or the backups? And who is fumbling and laying the rock on the ground? Is this concerning for the offense, or is the defense just going to be real good this year?
This was my daily delivery on Wednesday. So, I don't think it's Avery with most of these turnovers. Look, when they're talking about intercepting the ball, they're different members of the defense are going up against all 5 of the quarterbacks. And there's a true freshman walk on, a true freshman. You got Jacob Knuth, who's a redshirt sophomore, but hasn't played in a game. And then Taquan Roberson comes in from UConn. He's still 3rd, apparently, on the depth chart, and he's in a new offense. Avery Johnson is still as blessed as he is. He's still in the learning process. The interceptions are going to happen. But also, I like it in practice where quarterbacks challenge themselves to see if in a game they're going to cut that loose. If you're trying to not throw interceptions in practice, that means you're going to be a risk-adverse quarterback in the game, and you're not going to, put the ball in tight windows on throws. You're just going to throw it away or tuck and run or take a sack. And I don't think that's the ideal. And I think we've seen that in the past. They get so risk averse in practice, it translates to games and you don't get the quarterback play you need. So get that out of the system. But I do think from talking to people that this defense is in attack mode at a higher level than they have been in the past. You can go look back at Marquise Siegel alone and the number of interceptions he could have had last year, but drop passes that, could have changed games. And I'm told he's worked on his hands a lot, and those passes aren't being dropped this year. He's making incredible plays, including a really beautiful interception on an Avery pass that he broke on the ball perfectly. So, as I said in my daily delivery, the good news is the defense is creating turnovers. The bad news is the turnovers are by the same team's offense. So it's not always good. But I'm not overly concerned about offensive turnovers at this point because this has not been a turnover type program. That is an attention to detail that will not change with offensive coordinators.
And there's a huge difference between practice in the game, what you would do, chances you would take. Now we'd like to think that, hey, we're practicing and doing the same things in practice as we would in the game, but you're not. Just because there's no rush. Well, there's a rush, but they're not hitting you. You're not trying to get away. You're standing back there. You may force a ball that you wouldn't force one, in a game. That type of thing goes on too. But let's not take anything away from the defense. And I think it's great. Be in attack mode. I've been screaming for it since we started doing this podcast, or since I've been on the podcast, Fitz. I think we need more pressure, even more pressure. So the more pressure that we can put on opposing offenses, the better. Now, I don't like that it seems that maybe K-State offense is, I wouldn't say buckling, but they're committing some turnovers. But, again, just like I mentioned before, taking some chances that you wouldn't normally take in a game, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Maybe you don't have to take those chances if Uso and Damian can be disruptive. That was the word that Corey was using, right? That's why he was praising Eulalia, was that he was disruptive, right? So maybe they don't have to do that, Big B.
I totally agree. I don't agree with you much, but I agree on this.
I agree on that. Totally. That's it for the first half of the Powercat podcast. A few more announcements here. Gills is coming on full time, as we mentioned at the top, but we got a couple other new employees at Go Powercat. My nephew Ethan has started to do stuff and will escalate doing stuff because he's kicking some butt, and we'll keep using him. I think he's going to be shooting some highlights on Saturdays as a novice, so give him patience. And also our newest writer and multimedia guy, Lance Isley, is arriving in town as we record this podcast for his freshman year. We had a very good recruiting class. And also, turns out our longtime Powercat pregame podcast sponsor, Robbins Motor Company, is being sold. So they are naturally not advertising since they won't exist by the end of the season. And we'd like to welcome Weddle & Sons Roofing here in Manhattan as our new pregame podcast sponsor. It's going to be a great year of K-State football, and welcome to Weddle & Sons. We'll be right back with more of your Powercat podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Please visit the Fridge Wholesale Liquor, located at the corner of Claflin and Westport Road in Manhattan, Kansas.
welcome back to the show. Let's return to the Cats and Dogs studio.
Welcome back to the Powercat Podcast. Fitz, Gills, and Big B with your answers to your questions this week. Big B is in the rotating chair for the second time in a row. That's not much rotation. Now that Cole has started his job full time, Cole's teaching and forming young minds now in Olathe, Kansas. Be warned, Mom and Dad. But he'll join us when we can record at night. Big B will be here. Lance might be on sometimes. Who else? Brian Wallace, of course, might join us. And who knows? Maybe I'll throw in an outsider like Joe Tillery sometime, or even Scott McFarland. Yes, that's right. The Bosco boy himself. So we'll see what happens in the future. But here's your lineup for today. And we're sponsored by The Fridge. They're absolutely awesome. Get your pregame liquor there. Please, please, please. And Gills, take it away.
First question of the second half is from Go Stay Kate. Is making the college football playoff the expectation this year?
I think so. I mean, I think the expectation is winning the Big 12, and that goes hand in hand. So while making the playoff may not be how you define it, winning the Big 12 is, they accomplish the same thing. But you can also accomplish getting to the Big 12 championship or losing a tiebreaker with a 10-win, 11-win season. How you get 11 wins and don't get the title game is going to be interesting. But if that happens, maybe you sneak into the playoff there. Seems to be a lot of questions about whether the Big 12 will get 2 teams in. I think they're deserving of it as the preseason goes, but we'll see how it all pans out in the season. But yes, I think being in the playoff is an expectation in this locker room, and probably winning some games in the playoff or game would also go with that.
Yeah, I have been on record. I think the days of settling for 7 and 5s, 8 and 4s, those days are long gone at K-State. Yep. Long gone. Absolutely. I mean, there's just no reason to want to be that. What are we trying to do if that's all we want? That's all we care about. I'm not saying we have to go win a national championship every year, but why can't we be in the discussion? Why can't we be in the dance? We're not talking basketball today, but why can't we be in the March Madness every single year in the NCAA tournament? This is the same thing. K-State's that good of a program. We have to start thinking that we're that good of a program and just start being there every year. Go compete, go win. Look, if they said that Texas and OU's out of the conference and the Big 12 is up for grabs on superiority, why can't we have it? I think we can. I think we have been. And the days of the woe is me, we're just trying to truck along. We're past that, people. We are past that.
Fitz, you mentioned it. Who cares what we think? Inside of that locker room, the expectation for K-State's football program is to be in the college football playoff. 100%. And, of course, win the Big 12.
Absolutely.
Good news, you win the Big 12, you get a bye, which is also kind of bad news. I wouldn't mind if they didn't win the Big 12 and got in, being in a position to host. If they are, I would doubt that would fall K-State's way. I'm sure if a Big 12 team gets in as a second team, they'll be in that 9 to 11 range as a seed and probably not doing much hosting there. But we'll see how that all plays out. I'm excited for the season, and everything's on the table with this group.
Yeah, I think everything's on the table. And again, you hit it on the head, Ryan. It's what the guys in the locker room and the coaches feel. Mm-hmm. And I'm doubting hey, we're going to go to K-State so we could be 7 and 5. Doubt that's really what's popped across their mind. I think they expect to win the Big 12 every single year and to compete. Especially, look, it's opened up. It's giving us an opportunity. And isn't that all we've ever asked for as K-State fans? Give us an opportunity. Well, now they've got 12 teams available. There's our opportunity. We need to be in this thing every year. Every year.
Agreed.
Next question from Kat in Colorado. Your observation that depth is building at K-State is exciting. The best depth is where the number 2s are nipping at the heels of the number 1s for playing time. Which position groups have the best number 2s?
Defensive end. I don't think there's any doubt about it. When Coach Buddy Wyatt comes in and says he's got a solid 3 deep and probably another player that can get on the field and deserves to be on the field. If you got 7 defensive ends that can be put into roles and play, you got depth. Yeah. And I would suspect in game 1, we will see the older guys get the start Mott and Stufflebean, and you'll quickly see why the young guys are pushing for time. And I think you'll see how dynamic they are and how they do have different skill sets and will be used in different ways. But it's got to be there. If it's not there, I might go with running back. I mean, now that you added Dylan Edwards, you've got another pop behind. I love DJ Giddens, but I like Dylan Edwards more as the backup than I did last year. So I think you've got something going there, but I will stick with those defensive ends.
Real quick here, I'll butt in. Canelio asked a question. I didn't include it, but I think this is real fitting for what you just mentioned, Fitz. So he asked basically, the 7 defensive ends that were mentioned, by week 3, where does that number need to be? Because you can't obviously, I don't think you can roll with 7, right?
No, you can't.
No. I mean,
so I don't know how you play them all. I don't.
I mean, technically you you should probably play 4 if we're being honest, maybe 5, depending on what kind of front we're going to be using the majority of the time. I would say 5, but you can't play 6 and you definitely can't play 7. That's out of the question. But we've got a couple of games, or at least we've got a game to be able to get this thing figured out, as well as practices. So, but as far as positions, I was going to go with running back. And the only reason I was going to go with running back is because I think it's a proven commodity. And that's why I was going to say we're deeper there. Even though Dylan Edwards, maybe he didn't get a ton of yards, I think we know why at Colorado when he actually had opportunities or running space. Let's just say that he actually did something with the football and could catch it out of the backfield. We already know DJ Giddens is really good. We saw it. So that's why I would say running back is the deeper position, just because of the proven commodity that we have back there. Plus, if you want to throw Avery in there, I don't like putting quarterbacks as a running back, but he can run the football. So that would be my position.
Got to give some love to the wideouts, though. I mean, the guys that aren't stars, like even Jaden Jackson, he might be a starter, but Sterling Lockett's potential is through the roof, right? Dante Cephas played at Penn State. I think there's no need for endorsement there on what he could be capable of. So I guess maybe not. It's not as safe to say the wideout depth is great, but the potential in that wideout room, I think, is really, really high.
I agree. There's some guys we don't really talk about a lot that looking at in practice and like they got to get on the field. They look the part and they're making some breakthroughs. So they do have great depth at receiver. The position on defense besides defensive end, I like a safety. They've got 3 really good frontline guys, but I think they've got some young safeties that can just walk right in and fill in. And I think that's a blessing. Again, like I said on a daily delivery, I don't think the depth's ever been at this level in the last 20 years for K-State football. And so that's good. We saw what happened at middle linebacker last year. If you're thin on a spot, that's where you're going to get injuries. And I think they've kind of done a good job of bolstering everything. Now, bolster is another word that Deion Sanders doesn't understand. So he needed that defined for him. It's like improved depth. And why don't you just say that? Because bolstered is a better word. That's why. Yeah. They bolstered a lot of depth. Bolster. I don't know what's that even mean. I'm beginning to think, Big B, I'm beginning to think he doesn't know what words mean. He's not being a jerk. He just doesn't have an idea what that word means.
You know me. Both of you know me. I'm a Deion supporter, but he's making it difficult. He's making it freaking difficult, man. I'm just like, hold on a second. Now you're questioning words. I thought you knew football. I go, and if you know football, these are easy things to figure out. But either way, I don't know. The wide receiver position, I think and again, I'm not trying to offend anybody when I say this. I think I got PTSD from it because I need to see it before I believe this, because I've been told how good it's going to be, and then it comes up short. I don't want to be disappointed again. So I need to see something from the wide receiver position before I can just say, yeah, we got a bunch of depth there. Let's see it. And it isn't because they haven't had opportunities. We've had the opportunities. Just guys just didn't get open a lot. We got to see that. So, but I think with some more imagination on offense, a couple of different things that we're going to do, and let's just be honest, better quarterback play, I think we're going to see some things that are better.
Guys, how about quarterback depth? I mean, the fact that Knuth and Roberson are in a battle, that shows that whoever the two is, I mean, they're going to be a good two, right? It wasn't just handed to Roberson or Knuth, whatever. They're battling this out. And so I think that that's a really good thing for the number 2 spot. So quarterback, you can throw that in as well as a good position group with good depth. And even if Roberson gets hurt at the 2, I think you'd feel confident at Knuth at the 3.
Right. You know, the thing is, getting back to the nose tackle answer we had earlier, they didn't feel 100% comfortable that Jacob Knuth would be ready to be the backup, lacking the experience. They wanted to go find an experienced backup, someone that's seen live fire. And if they get thrown in the game, they're not going to be overwhelmed. And Knuth responded to that. He's pushed himself to a new level, and we've seen him throwing the ball and doing things that are impressive. So I think having depth at a position makes everyone better. Please don't say iron sharpens iron, because they got a lot of iron, and we could say it now for a lot of positions that are getting sharpened by other iron.
Big B, you look at the Steelers last year, man. Their best quarterback on the roster was the 3rd string going into the year.
Let's move on. Let's just move on.
I'm not wrong, Big B. From Snarecat 3, K-State, Arizona will most likely be a non-conference top 25 matchup on a Friday night. Will this be the most electric non-conference crowd since the Auburn game?
I hope so, but it is a Friday night, and there's high school football and all those other things that people have, all shucksed about with having Friday night games. And I understand all that, but I do think people will show up. I just recorded for the Big 12 Insiders, Jason Shear. He's got that game as one of the linchpin points of the schedule, and it's not even in the conference. So it's a huge game. The weird world in which we live, it's the Big 12 kickoff without being a Big 12 conference game. Right. It'll be live on national television on Fox Friday. It's going to be a big stage. A lot of people will be watching on that Friday night. I think it's imperative that K-State look good, because look, this is a pony show, and you got to look good. You got to trot right when you're in the spotlight, because that's going to be part of the judgment of that playoff committee and picking at large teams later. So make sure you look good when you're under the bright lights.
Well, also, I mean, we know K-State fans. I mean, this is a big opportunity. They're going to be there. They're going to be there, and they are going to be loud. Again, we only have 6 home games this year. It's a little different where we usually have 7. We have 6 this year. And even though this one's on a Friday night, I know there's other distractions, there's other things going on. We know K-State fans, especially coming out from Western Kansas, they'll just take Friday off. And they'll just come to the game. I mean, I just think there's going to be a big atmosphere, a big time game. And let's not kid ourselves either, people. Arizona's better than what maybe some people think that they are. I know that the perception is that, they're a Pac-12 team. They're a little soft. I'm just telling you, Arizona has the best wide receiver combo, I think, in the country. I said top 3. It's definitely in the Big 12. I think that wide receiver quarterback combo is the best in the country. They're not coming here just to play games. They're coming to win, and they got a good team to be able to do it. So, but I just know K-State fans, and I've been around them for 27 years, 28 years, however long. I'm old now. But they get after it, man. When they see a big opportunity, and this is a big opportunity, they get after it. I don't expect anything different than that.
It's funny. I was catching up with an old fraternity buddy at the bar at Lucha who was in town. He said he got roped into coaching like 5th grade football on Saturdays. And so the Arizona game is actually the only one on that Friday that he can actually come to. But as long as K-State can win, obviously against UT Martin and avoids an upset against Tulane on the road, I mean, those ugly performances leading up to that game is really the only obstacle here.
Yeah, I think it's important that I drop a public service announcement here. While I appreciate his effort to help the next generation of football players, to sacrifice his time on Saturdays, don't do that, folks. Don't help the children. Go to the game.
That's Cole Carmody's job. He's already helping out the children of America.
Yes.
He's doing enough. Last question from O2 Cat. How many teams that aren't in the Power 2 will make the college football playoff without an automatic bid?
Oh, not in the Power 2. I mean, if you believe the predictions, it's going to be one ACC, one Big 12, Notre Dame, and one non-Power 5, Power 4. I mean, and you're not going to see more than one from that grouping, just because it seems like a little bit of a down year. But yeah, I as I sit here, I'll be surprised if the Big 12 gets 2. The ACC might, because they've got both the Clemson and Florida State brands, and maybe someone gets good. Let's put it this way: Florida State's on the bubble anywhere. They're not the conference champion, but still good. They will not get left out again. They just won't. Yeah, a lot of it depends on Notre Dame. If they also have a good season, you can almost put them in the Big Ten in the counting, and we'll see how that pans out. But I think if the Big 12 gets 2, that's a great sign for the conference. If the ACC gets 2, it might be 2 teams that are on the verge of losing. So I think that'll be a very interesting storyline as we progress.
Now, if you remember correctly, fellas, at Big 12 Media Day, our friend, CFP executive director, we had on Big 12 Insiders, and he said that everything was all the merit is all going to be the same. Everybody's going to be judged the same. Remember, he came on and we asked him specifically that, and he told us that everything was going to be judged the same. So if we believe our friend, Mr. Richard Clark, which I don't see why we shouldn't, and then I think that the Big 12, first of all, I think the Big 12 gets 2. I think whoever it is, and I'm pretty sure K-State's going to be one of those teams. I really do, because I'm really excited about this team. I think they got the maturity to any game, tough road games. I feel like they have the maturity to go win some of those tough ones. And whoever the other team is, I think they're going to get in 2. The ACC is not getting in 2 because Clemson isn't very good. Florida State, if they don't win the conference, that's it. I think the ACC is a 1-bid league, and then it goes from there. But if the Big 12 only gets 2, I mean, obviously we don't know how the season's going to go. But if they have 2 teams that win 10 games, they're getting 2 in. I can tell you that right now. I wouldn't even worry about it. And I would like to say if they had 2 teams that win at least 9 games, they're probably going to get into. Now, that'll depend on other leagues and how many games that they win. But if we get 2 to 10, they're getting in. That's college football playoff. There's just because if they don't, everybody will know that they're cheating, and it'll just be a catastrophe, which maybe they don't care, because clearly they didn't care last year. So we'll see. But I think all I'm concerned about is K-State and Big 12 stuff, mainly K-State. So I think we got a shot, and I think it'll be at least 2.
Fitz, I love how you mentioned the Big 12. It doesn't matter who the Big 12 gets. It does not matter at all. It's going to be good for the Big 12. You look at the ACC, right? It's different. They're going to hate to see that. I mean, that just makes it worse if, Florida State and Clemson get in. And I'm not saying Clemson will get in, but, it doesn't matter. The Big 12, it's not going to be – it's only going to strengthen the conference to have any of those teams in the playoff.
No, here's the thing. I'll push back on the ACC. If Clemson or Florida State gets in, the ACC is going to hate that, because that's the whole issue, is that they're dominating the conference. So it won't help the conference as a whole. If a Louisville, an NC State, a Virginia Tech, if one of those teams gets in, then they can fight back against Florida State and Clemson and say, hold on a second. You guys think that you're running this conference. You can't even get into the college football playoff. So how are you running the conference when you can't even win our conference? That's the pushback. So I think that's how they're going to – they would prefer that somebody else wins the conference. Even if they go and get their brains beat in by somebody in the college football playoff, I guarantee you that the ACC wants no part of Florida State or Clemson being in it. They want no part of that. And they want it to be based on their record and merit, not that, okay, they got snubbed out like Florida State did last year. They want it to be, oh, you didn't qualify. Oh, and if you don't qualify, then what makes you think that you run this conference? That just, in my opinion.
Gills?
I agree. I mean, that's what I say. Like, I agree, Big B. Like the Big 12, it doesn't matter. Whereas the ACC, you mentioned it, like it could be good, could be bad, depending on how you look at it. But the Big 12, there's no need to worry.
There's no need to worry about this podcast. I think it was pretty good. I had limited cussing. I might have coughed into my hand in obscenity, but that's okay. That's okay. It just was clearing my throat. That's it for the Powercat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. So much coming at Go Powercat here in the near future. Make sure you're subscribing to Go Powercat, subscribing to this YouTube channel, subscribing to this podcast, subscribing to the Gills private newsletter, I Hate Fits and Why, and do all those things right after you stop listening to this, which will be in 20 seconds. Thanks for listening.
This has been a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.